It feels like fall, so we're going to head out to the soccer field. Plus an exclusive interview with a top high school football coach from South Jersey and plenty of games to discuss next on SFBN Talks High School Sports. Talk about that game and that team in particular. And let's talk about some of the players. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Welcome to another edition of SFBN Talks High School Sports. I'm your host, Ari Bluestein. Our co-host today is Mike Samsel. Mike, thanks for coming back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Well, the first game I wanted to talk about was one of the best games not only in the state of Pennsylvania, but in the entire country this past weekend. Number 1, Archbishop Wood. Number 2, LaSalle and Southeastern PA going at it. LaSalle wins 35-31. Kyle Shermer leads his team back after being down 31-14, and he's had such a great year, and his stats are our scary stat of the week.
Yeah, and I mean, they're scary good. 19 of 31 in the game. They were down 31-14 at one point in this game. Kyle Shermer comes back. He gets his connection with Jimmy Herron. Jimmy Herron, an unbelievable receiver. He's got 32 touchdowns throughout his career. That's a new Philadelphia record. And also, he's 122 of 191 on the season. So Kyle Shermer, big-time performer. We'll
talk about LaSalle and Wood later in the game, especially LaSalle's upcoming matchup with St. Joseph's Prep. But let's transition to another game. Interact versus Catholic League, Haverford versus Roman. Roman's had a nice year, but Haverford with a solid 41-22 win. Talk about that game.
All of it was basically because of Phil Polkwe. I mean, he had an unbelievable day, goes 17 for 184, 2 touchdowns, and had 2 long touchdowns called back on penalties as well. Also, the quarterback had a nice day, Kevin Carter. He passed for 100 yards and rushed for 100 yards. When Haverford is that balanced, when they can pass for over 100 yards and rush for over 200, they're a pretty dangerous team.
Yeah, and Romans had a nice year. They had a couple of tough losses to Coatesville and Downingtown East, that we'll talk about a little bit later. And they had wins over Ryan and Episcopal, but now they get into league play. They're taking on the Crusaders of Father Judge, with running back Yeedy Thainrat and wide receiver Prince Smith. Talk about how Roman can bounce back with their first league game coming up this weekend.
A lot of it is going to be with their quarterback, Phil DeWilliams. I mean, he's had a nice season so far. He's played under control. He's played composed. Now, a really tough non-league schedule. Now they get into the conference schedule, the league schedule a little bit. That's where Phil DeWilliams is going to have to take that next step. I hate to use the football cliche, but he's going to have to kind of be, you know, the field general out there, the second coach on the field, keep the team under control, because if things start to go wrong, you don't want the wheels to come off. That's where DeWilliams is going to have to step in and say, hey, guys, relax, we can do this.
Well, we had another big Catholic League versus Interact League game on the docket this past weekend. St. Joseph's Prep defeats Malvern Prep. Now, St. Joe's had a monster schedule to start the year. They were 1-3 coming into the game, but they knock off Malvern in this game.
467 yards offensively will do that for you. I mean, this St. Joe's Prep team really moved the football well, very impressive. But the one that impressed me was Alex Hornibrook. This is the best team Alex Hornibrook has played this year. He's heading to play his football at the University of Pitt. Hornibrook came out 15 of 24, 200 yards and a pair of touchdowns. And to me, he really proved that he was a big-time quarterback moving forward now. There were some whispers, not big-time questions, but some whispers, you know, has he really played anyone? Well, you come out, you put up 200 yards against St. Joe's. The team didn't do well, but he proved that he belongs in that upper echelon level.
Yeah, and Hornibrook and Malvern, they open up league play as well. They took on the Haverford School, who we just talked about. How does Malvern bounce back and get ready for a big game against Haverford?
Well, Malvern needs to bounce back with Alex Hornibrook. It's interesting because it's almost counterintuitive. You have the great quarterback, you want to get out there, sling it, you know, throw it all around the yard, what have you. But I actually think they need to control the pace of play a little bit, simply because the rushing attack with Polkwe and Carter from Malvern is so good that you want to try and keep them off the field. So I think you need to go to a little bit more of a ball control type offense.
So let's transition to the suburbs now. Coatesville and Downingtown East, who we just mentioned, 2 of the 3 best teams in the Ches-Mont League. Coatesville wins in a defensive battle, 15-9 over Downingtown East. Talk about that game a little bit.
Jordan Young goes for over 100 yards rushing, and also pretty unbelievably, they go for a fake punt on 4th down. They're inside their own 25-yard line. Downingtown East is up 9-7 at this time. Coatesville goes for the fake punt. They get it. They end up finishing off that drive, score a touchdown. I mean, a pretty gutsy call. But the interesting thing about the Ches-Mont League is this is a league that's been pretty widely considered as being soft. They play that spread it out type of, offense, so their defense doesn't really get pounded on. Then when you get into Suburban 1, you're playing your North Penns and you're playing your Pennsburys, teams that like to ground and pound. Their defense wears out. This was a game where both of these teams kind of knocked each other in the mouth. This is a game, that's going to get both of them ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, well, Coatesville remains undefeated. They've got Downingtown West coming up in a few weeks, so we'll see how that plays out in the Ches-Mont League. And as usual, great football here in the state of PA. But when we return, we'll go across the bridge with an exclusive interview for Shawnee head football coach Tim Gushue. You're watching SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown.
When we come to see
Festival of Fears at the VE Club. What is your phobia?
For over 30 years, the Runaround has serviced southeastern Pennsylvania as the premier team outfitter in the region. Located in Abington, the Runaround serves as a one-stop shop for many of the area's top high school and collegiate athletic programs, as well as numerous travel teams, youth organizations, and corporations. With its top-quality screen printing and embroidery coupled with the best prices in the region, the Runaround is your answer to any team apparel needs.
Welcome back. Joining us now from Medford, New Jersey is Shawnee High School head football coach Tim Gushue. Coach, thanks for joining us here on Web Chat here on SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Well, Harry, thank you very much for having Shawnee High School on the air. We really appreciate it.
Now, first off, you had a great run last year. As the number 6 seed, you went all the way and won the South Jersey Public Group 4 Championship, including winning the championship against Timber Creek, the highly rated number 1 seed in that group. Talk about that run you had last year.
Okay, sure. As a 6 seed, we were on the road for all 3 games. I think our players, played with a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to prove that we belonged in the playoffs, and we always talk about if you get there, anything can happen. We had tremendous efforts in the first 2 wins over Hamilton and a great come-from-behind win against Toms River South. And then in the final, we couldn't have played any better. Our special teams, our defense, and our offense were all on that night, and the players really executed the game plan set forth by the coaches.
Now this year, your team is currently ranked as one of the top teams in South Jersey by the Philadelphia Inquirer. Talk about your team's performance thus far and some of the top individual performances that you've had.
Right. Well, we come in the preseason as a high-ranked team since we have 31 seniors. We have 8 starters back on defense and 7 on offense. Needless to say, you're going to be picked high. So far, though, I think our players have taken one game at a time, executed the game plan. We talk a lot about the process, about the next play. You got to have a short memory. Whether you do well or you don't do well, we want to move on to the next thing. And we've only given up 21 points so far this year. Offensively, we've scored 42, 51, and 37. So the offense has been clicking. Good run-pass balance. We're about as even as we could be with rushing yards and passing yards. So we're very pleased with that. That'll make us more difficult to defend as we get down the road. Our top players so far, I mean, Jake Perola leads South Jersey in touchdowns with 11. He's had 2 interception returns for touchdowns, 2 pass receptions for touchdowns, and the rest are all runs. Runs behind a senior offensive line. The defense has been very stingy, doing a good job not giving up the big play, and being focused on each key situation that comes up during the game.
Now, looking ahead, you have some big games coming up on your schedule, including October 24th against a very good Cherokee team. Talk about that game in particular.
Our Cherokee game is always one of the games you circle each year. They're 5 minutes away. They're one of our sister schools. We know them very well. We know their coaches. Their coaches know us. The players know each other. It's a lot like playing one of your relatives. I just remember all the games I had against my brother all the time, and you compete a little harder, and I think Cherokee does, and I know Shawnee does. So that night on the 24th will be a huge night for our communities, both Marlton and Medford Lakes, and our school administrations, our student body, and our players. So I'm sure it'll be a very competitive, fun night of high school football.
Now, one final question, Coach. What does your team need to do to repeat as South Jersey Public Group 4 champions?
What we need to do is take one step at a time. Every day, get a little better in practice. Each game that we face, try to get a little bit better. Do things, a little more attention to detail on all phases of the game. If we can continue to do that, I think we have a great opportunity to perhaps get there. We'd love to be able to get some home playoff games this year if we're fortunate enough to do so. But to do that, we got to keep on winning.
Shawnee High School head football coach Tim Gushue. Coach, thanks for joining us here on Web Chat here on SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Well, Harry, once again, thank you very much. We appreciate you having Shawnee High School on the air.
We'll be right back.
I got the personal attention I needed, I had a lot of options when I graduated, and as far as I'm concerned, this is my dream job.
Ryder prepared me for my NBA career, and I also got the education that I need for life after basketball.
I had 6 teaching internships while I was at Ryder, and right after graduation, I started a career that I love.
The Sports Fan Base Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Join us every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock for SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll have everything from interviews with players, coaches, writers, and more, plus analysis, rankings, highlights, and in-depth features on major topics in the Delaware Valley high school sports community. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Welcome back to SFBN Talks High School Sports here on the Comcast Network. When you think of soccer, you think of the Premier League. But one of the premier teams in girls soccer in the Philadelphia area is Archbishop Ryan, and we had an opportunity to send our Jack Cap out to talk to some of their top players.
Chad, go!
I'm Jack Cap. We're here at Archbishop Ryan, the home of the Ragdolls, Philadelphia Catholic League champions from last year and the previous year. Also, we're going to meet some of the girls right now. Hello there.
Hi, I'm Caitlin McFadden.
I'm Jack Cap.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jazz Gonzalez.
Hi, Jazz. How are you?
I'm Jules Blank.
Hi, Jules. Glad to meet you, girls. Girls, I understand that you want to show me some of your skills. Is that right? And I'd be glad to do that. I haven't played in about 40 years, but I think I'm ready. Shall we get out there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
You got in the game, right? That's something if it's there, you have to take it, right? Well, I understand you are the two-time Philadelphia Catholic League defending champions. That's quite an honor. How does that feel? Tell me about it.
It's great. Just cool to have that behind us, that we're the 2 back-to-back champs. It's awesome.
We get to come back and like visit the hallways and see like what we accomplished.
It's cool winning for the school and for like the whole team. It's just awesome.
There was only, I think, 85 kids in the school.
I'm
you
sorry,
play
we
this
beat
year?
Wood. We beat Wood.
Archbishop Wood, is this a rivalry game?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit about this rivalry.
I think it's the first time we beat them in like
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And also they beat us the first game of the season, so it was like
Double overtime.
double overtime. They beat us, so it was like really good competition every game. So it's like really good.
Now, I was here for that game. We actually broadcast that game. It was a tremendous soccer game. It's also a leading score. 43 fouls as a striker.
One season.
In one season.
This is bowling. You use it to settle the ball when you can't really get it on the ground, and you use it when you're shooting, or if you want to pass to a teammate. And you have to be able to use both feet. And just like you were passing with Bud, you have to put the one foot pointing where you want it to go. When Bud throws to you, try to use your right, and then when Jazz throws to you, try to use your left.
Would this be something you would use on a corner kick also?
Yeah.
Right?
Corner,
Okay.
you can't use
Well,
that.
why don't I give it a shot? I'll do my best. Okay. There we go. That's better. Coach Ryan Haney, who also played here at Archbishop Ryan.
Yeah.
Long time ago, I guess. And
Yeah.
and how is he to play for? Tell me about his practices a little bit. What's it like?
They're definitely hardcore. Like we have to come to practice every day to play. Because it's what makes us like a good team, honestly.
He's tough, but in the end, it's what we need.
So he's tough but lovable.
Yeah.
It's all worth it.
He has his
Tough
moments.
Ready, fit, like physically ready.
Because you never know when you're going to go into extra overtime, so
Yeah.
we have to be the team that's prepared for
Conditioned.
that. Yeah.
And right now, during like preseason, since our games are so tight, we really can't condition every day.
Yeah, because we have games like back to back, so you can't really condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you girls grew up together. You played together in club ball.
Okay, when you want to pass the ball, you put your foot next to it, center of the ball, so you keep it on the ground. Trap it, try to just like dead ball it so it doesn't go too far. So you're next to the ball, but not like next to it. And then here you go. Good. When you trap it, you don't want to hit it first touch because your first touch is so important. So when that, and then center of the ball. Good. Okay. There you go. Same thing. If you hit it too high, it won't go anywhere. So you have to hit the center of the ball.
Okay. And what do you expect this year? How are you looking forward to this year? We'll close with that.
We definitely want to take one game at a time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
We want to win the PCL, and then we want to move on to cities and then states.
States have been tough on you, right?
Yeah.
We have to take it one day at a time though.
All right, one of the basics to goalkeeping is catching the ball, and you want to practice catching it in a diamond, or you can do the W, but the diamond is more like covers more, so the ball doesn't come through and hit you in the face.
Okay. Wrist-back like this?
Yeah, and you want to be in a set position. So a set position is when you're on your toes and your knees are bent, so you're ready. And the reason you're on your toes is so that you're like in any position, you have to be ready at any time for anything.
So in case the ball goes to your right or your left?
Yeah, you're ready.
You wanna be
You're
able to-
already on your toes. Yeah.
You want to be able to make that lateral move?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Mhm.
Okay.
So you're set and your hands are like this in the diamond formation so that if somebody, so it doesn't come right through and hit you in the face. You can try it now. Good. But your hands have to be more in at the top. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like that.
Who's going?
Okay.
And How were your grades, girls? I hear you girls are all superstar academic people. Am I correct?
They were good.
We all try to average a 3.0.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's great, because academics are very important, all right?
I remember
Well, girls, it was such a pleasure meeting you. I wish you a lot of luck during the season.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll do very well, and hopefully we'll be back and cover one of your championship games.
Yeah.
Good luck, and I hope you get through the States this year, too.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Nice meeting you, girls.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks for doing it.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the sports fan-based network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
The Writers' Corner is brought to you by El Dion Pejolari State Farm Insurance Agency. For all your insurance and financial needs, please contact El Dion and his friendly team at 215-485-5556 or visit their website, epinsured.com. Welcome back. It's now time for the Writers' Corner here on SFBN Talks. And joining us today is Aaron Ace Carter from the Philadelphia Daily News. Ace, thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the Public League first. A big game coming up this weekend at the 4A level. The Franklin Electrons going against the Washington Eagles. Now, we knew the Eagles would be pretty good. We've talked about them on the show a few times. But the Franklin Electrons have really had a nice year led by quarterback Kevin Caldwell.
Absolutely. What's interesting is that the Electrons have surprised a lot of people in Philadelphia, but they haven't surprised themselves. Talked to Kevin Caldwell. He won our Daily News Player of the Week a couple weeks back. Not surprised at all by the success that he's having. Head coach David Carter has him really confident. Really, why shouldn't he be? He's got a talented group of wide receivers that are big, strong, fast, and athletic. So look for Franklin to be a problem for the rest of the season.
Well, it'll be interesting to see that high-powered offense against the stingy Washington defense this weekend. Now, another surprising team over in the Catholic League are the Bonner Friars. We have to talk about them today. 6-0, undefeated, coming off a huge league win over Archbishop Ryan, where they came from behind. They're led by quarterback Colin DeGalbo, who is our Recruit Me Spotlight, today's technology, tomorrow's athlete. Talk about DeGalbo and the Friars.
One of the most dangerous dual-threat quarterbacks we have in the city. 550 yards rushing, almost 900 yards passing. Big, strong arm. Yes, last week against Archbishop Ryan, he leads the team back down 20-7 at the end of 3 quarters. 4 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Down a touchdown. Hits Tyler Higgins for a 7-yard touchdown. No hesitation to go for 2. He hits Higgins again for the walk-off winner.
Yeah, very gutsy to go for 2, but of course it paid off for the Friars. They're in 3A, of course. We'll see how they stack up against Archbishop Wood, arguably the top team in that class. And, speaking of the Vikings, they had a big game themselves this weekend against LaSalle. And one of the top games, not only in the state, but in the country as well, the top 2 teams in southeastern PA. We talked about the game a little bit earlier, but you were there, LaSalle, with a comeback 35-31 victory. Talk about the game and what you saw.
Very similar to what happened last year when St. Joe's Prep rolled into Wood and knocked them off 31-21. Wood was up in that game. They were up against LaSalle last week. Jared McClinton, 293 yards rushing, but LaSalle was able to stay the course. They stayed calm, cool, and collected. Kyle Shermer hit Jimmy Herron 4 times for touchdown passes. LaSalle sneaks out of there with a win.
And LaSalle, as much as that's a really nice win, it really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things because it's a non-league game. But they have a huge league game against their rivals, St. Joseph's Prep, this weekend. That'll be on the Sports Fan Base Network. That's our SFBN Game of the Week, Friday night. We'll be there. I'm sure you'll be there too. What does LaSalle and Kyle Shermer need to do to beat the Hawks?
It's going to be very interesting. The matchup you want to watch out for is Jimmy Herron going against John Reed for St. Joe's Prep, probably one of the best cornerbacks in the state, if not the best, headed to Penn State next year. That's going to be a good matchup. And so I think what's going to happen, I think my X factor for the game is a guy like Jordan Meacham, senior running back for LaSalle. I think he's a guy that can run it out of the backfield, can catch it out of the backfield. He's someone that could give Prep some problems.
Now, you talked about McClinton had a big day against the LaSalle defense. Well, the Prep, they've got some pretty good running backs too. Olamide Zacchaeus and DeAndre Swift, kind of the thunder and lightning for the Hawks. How does LaSalle stop those guys?
Cool, that's going to be a tough task. You have Aiden Kerrigan, senior linebacker for LaSalle. He played well in the second half against Wood and was able to make some plays late in the fourth quarter to kind of stymie McClinton late. He's going to be tasked with, patrolling the middle, and so look for him to step up.
Well, there's going to be a heck of a lot of talent on the field at Plymouth Whitemarsh on Friday night, so I'm looking forward to covering the game. Ace Carter joining us here on the Writers' Corner from the Philadelphia Daily News. Ace, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's take a look at what's coming up on the Sports Fan Base Network. Want to be on the next episode of SFBN Talks? Then tell us what your Halloween costume will be. For more information, contact us or go to our Facebook and Twitter page. Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of SFBN Talks High School Sports. But before we go, Mike, our SFBN Game of the Week, LaSalle versus St. Joseph's Prep. Who you got in that game?
I mean, do you want to bet against Kyle Shermer and Jimmy Herron? Those guys are big game tested. I'm going to go with LaSalle.
It could really go either way. The Prep is a really well-rounded team, but I guess we'll see. And make sure you watch at www.thesportsfanbasenetwork.com. So for my co-host Mike Samsel, I'm Ari Bluestein. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Select video equipment for SFBN Talks has been provided by DMP Video. DMP Video. You provide the moment, we'll capture the memories. For more information about our videography services, please go to our website at www.dmpvid.com.
The High School Scholar Athlete of the Month for October is Julianne Blank of Archbishop Ryan High School in Philadelphia. A 4-year starter for Ryan Girls Soccer, Julianne was an all-Catholic and all-state striker for the 2013 Catholic League champion Ragdolls. Julianne is in the top 5% of her class, works with athletes helping athletes, a special needs organization, and is a Ryan High School ambassador.
The Sports Fan Base Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Join us every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock for SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll have everything from interviews with players, coaches, writers, and more, plus analysis, rankings, highlights, and in-depth features on major topics in the Delaware Valley high school sports community. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.